Okay, so welcome back to the channel, and I've got two of the big boys again here today. I've got the Callaway Elite X and I've got the PING G440 SFT, straight face technology. And these drivers here are aimed at golfers who typically lose the ball to the right hand side, slices of the golf ball. It is probably the most common flight that I see when I've done fittings in the past, and it's a shot that typically loses distance for the golfer, and it can be quite erratic as well. So can drivers solve this? Obviously, I would always direct the golfer to a PJ professional to help you with your swing lines and your strike on the face, but can a driver, can that really help you as well? So I've got two options here, both in their stock option shafts as well. As they come, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit them in their neutral setting, so that's just standard face angle, and the weight, because they've both got weight ports on them, the weight's just going to be in the middle of the head as it's positioned to start with. I'm going to hit a couple of shots in those positions. Then I'm going to move the drivers into their most draw bias position. So for the Callaway, for example, you can put this setting here in terms of the head. I can put this into a draw sleeve setting. I can also loft it up as well, which is going to close the face further. And then I can put that back weight into the most, you can see here, the heel side basis or position here, which is going to make it more draw biased again. Similar sort of thing with the PING driver. It doesn't have a draw bias on the sleeve, so to speak, but I can loft it up, which is going to close the face. I can also move that back weight as well. So I'm going to hit a couple of shots of each. Going to see, does it get rid of that shot to the right hand side? Does it make the ball go extremely left for me? I'm going to drop a little bit of speed off my swing today, slightly slower, just to try and see how it performs at the slower swing speed as well. Going to hit some shots with both. Going to start with the Callaway to start with. Talk a little bit about the technology in the head. Let's get into it. Okay, so I've already done some reviews on these drivers already, so please go and have a little look at those. But just to sort of rehash over some of the technology that we're seeing with the Callaway here, for example, you know, you've got your carbon crown here as well. You've got your 10 AI face that they're working on, so that's the actual face plate. How they've molded that, and they're using AI technology now to do that, to try and give you data points on you know, where they can add additional ball speed to certain strikes on the face. Really interesting. I have to say, when I've tested the standard models, the standard elite model, the core model, let's call it, dispersion was absolutely fantastic. So definitely worth a try if you're in the market for a new driver this year. This model is aimed at a slightly different golfer. Internally, more the weight is going to be into the heel here, which makes it much easier for that toe to rotate over the top of and square up. And that's exactly what, if you're a slicer with a golf ball, that's exactly what you want, right? Typically slicer, swing path's going to be to the left-hand side. Face angle is going to be open in relation to that particular club path. And then because of that, what's going to happen is you're going to fade or slice the golf ball. So yeah, what this is going to try and do is help it square up for you. Really interesting, got 10.5 degrees here. Just got it in its neutral setting just to start with. Gonna hit some shots, see how it performs for me. Got the Denali in here, 60 grams at standard length, just as it would come off the shelf. Gonna give it a hit. Let's see how it performs, hey? So down by the golf ball, it very much looks like the core model. I was gonna say it doesn't look like the triple diamond model, because that's a completely different head altogether. But you wouldn't really be able to tell the difference here between the core model and the Elite X model, the draw model as it will be known, just down by the golf ball there. I mean, it's slightly more stretched out at the back, and it probably sits a little bit lower. They've got that CG placement a little bit further back and a little bit deeper, which is also going to help with the MOI, which I've done a video on that, so check that out. MOI being how forgiving the head is on off-center hits. It's going to be a little bit more stable because of that as well. But yeah, it's a good looking head, I have to say. Gone are the days where you used to see the big offset heads, which were designed to try and, again, do the same thing here, eliminate slices, try and help the ball draw. But they never looked particularly great. Never looked great in the bag, never looked great down by the golf ball. So I'm glad we've moved past that era, and we've moved more into an era where these drivers look more just like a standard core model now. But let's give this a hit. Well, as you might be able to see on screen so far, I've hit a couple of drives and they're pretty much finished in identical positions. Definitely to the far left-hand side of the fairway, or probably in the semi-rough on the left-hand side, I would say, but they're almost identical. So that, again, very true of what I saw in the standard core model. Consistency across the face in terms of ball speed, not just in terms of left and right dispersion with the Callaway, but also front to back. It was very, very consistent. The bunching was very tight on it. It's quite similar there with that one so far as well, but it's definitely doing its job. I'm hitting this left. I'm not having to work at it at all. I'm trying to put very neutral golf swings on this here, and it's very much drawing for me. So I'm going to hit a couple more and see if that trend continues. Incredibly consistent in terms of shot shape and the distance that I'm achieving with it. It really is a draw machine, this thing. It's turning over very easily for me. Now, I haven't tried to hit any other shot shapes as of yet. I'm going to try and hit one a little bit left to right now, just to see how much it resists that sort of shot shape that I'm trying to hit. But certainly for me, where I'm a slight drawer of the golf ball already, this thing just wants to whip left. Incredible, really. So if you're in the market for something that just wants to draw for you, have to consider this thing right now. Okay, so as I mentioned, guys, I'm just trying to hit a couple of fades now just to see if it really resists that. I'm going to try and keep the club head speed the same, but I'm going to work that path to the left-hand side with the open face and just see how much it resists the temptation to fade for me. I have to say, really impressed with that product there. Hit a couple of fades there. And really what I'd want to see there is that the ball starts left the target and fades back to center, as opposed to starting on the target line and then losing it to the right-hand side, which would be that shot shape that you don't want to see. And that's exactly what the Callaway did there. So really impressed with that. Felt so stable as well. And even when I did put that fade swing on it, typically I'd expect to see a jump in spin and therefore a drop off in distance, but actually it maintained and controlled that spin really nicely. So very easy to use product. Okay, so I had a little bit of a play with the settings here, and I've now put it into what I would class as its most extreme draw settings. I've increased the loft by 2 degrees, and I've also put the face angle into draw. So what that is basically going to do for me is toe the driver in, or close that face, which is going to make it easier for me to close the face to my relative path, and that should create more right to left in terms of the shot shape that I see. Also positioned more of the mass into the heel, which is going to help that toe turn over and rotate a bit quicker as well. The lie angle on this driver in its standard position is 59. Now, if you're not aware of lie angle and how that relates to drivers, effectively the higher that number is, or closest to 60 or over, that means the more toe up the driver is going to look that way. And that's going to make it easier to sort of square the face up and draw it effectively. So it's at 59, but now I've closed it down by a couple of degrees. It's going to be up over 60 degrees there. So it's going to look quite toed in and also quite toe up for me as well, which is effectively my worst nightmare as a drawer of the golf ball, because I just feel like I'm going to hit this thing left all day. Generally, I fight it a little bit when I see face angle like that, but I'm just going to try and release and do my normal thing. Let's hit a couple of shots. Let's see where it gets to. That's the one I was expecting to see. Okay, I'm going to hit a couple of big slices now just to see how much it wants to fight and resist that. Wasn't the best strike, but I really tried to swipe across that one to try and get a lot of fade down. You could feel the face and the head resisting it, and still staying stable through the strike pattern, which is really impressive, I have to say. Yeah, it's a very impressive product, and it definitely does exactly what it says on the tin. Really good from Callaway. All right, and on to the PING G440 SFT straight face technology. Again, internally weighted, so draw biased head. looking down on it, it looks very similar to the standard core model G440, slightly different to the LST because it's a little bit more stretched back, 460C head here as well. And again, you've got your movable weight, 23 grams here, which can be moved into the extreme hill position as well. The interesting thing about the 440 this year, they've gone carbon fly wrap, like I've said in previous reviews as well. More pleasing acoustic, and then they've saved a bit of weight from not going titanium with the crown, and so that weight they've been able to save that in other areas of and distribute that in other areas of the head as well. So they've also gone for the free hosel. So they're saying these drivers are hotter out of the heel section of the head, which has to be considered as well. You know, I did a video on driver length and shafts nowadays and how they've gotten longer and longer and longer. I think that leads a lot of golfers to hitting drivers out the heel. That typically loses energy. It can also produce a little bit of a fade bias as well. So I think that's really interesting that they're working on that particular part of the head and they're trying to make that hotter to increase ball speed across the whole face, because typically in drivers, that's been a little bit of a dead spot, this particular spot right here. I've got this in the standard setting, 10.5, Denali red, very similar sort of profile to what I just hit in the Callaway, although it's a different color. Let's see how we get on with it. So down by the golf ball, again, it's 10.5 degrees, but it straight away, it looks a little bit more toed in than the Callaway did in its neutral position. Interesting enough, the lie angle on this is 58.5, so it's half a degree flatter in standard than where the Callaway sits, but I can just see that the face angle looks more toed in for me. You can still use and see the turbulators, so it's still a pleasing crown look to it. Very similar results there to the Callaway. Definitely a different acoustic from both of the drivers. It's more muted with the carbon fiber elements that you get in the Callaway. Although there is carbon fiber in the crown here as well from Ping, it's definitely a higher pitch to it. Sounds really solid though. A bit like the core model that I tested, you know, very, very solid off the face. Hit those pretty well. Data very, very comparable. I would say visually, the ball flight looked a little bit higher. And as I mentioned, when you put the club down behind the ball, although they both read the same loft, 10.5, it did look like there was a bit more loft on the Ping, and it did look a little bit more toed in. So I definitely noticed the flight was a little bit higher, and it's turned a lot at the top of the flight as well. Okay guys, so really interesting test so far from the Ping. Definitely a little bit higher, definitely a little bit more spin, very draw bias, but I'm now gonna put it into its most extreme draw setting. So I've lofted it up into the big plus setting, which is gonna take it up 1.5 degrees, so it's now at 12. So again, it's not actually as lofted technically as what I could get the Callaway to, but I think there's a little bit more base loft on this head anyway. And then I've also dropped the back weight there, the 23 grams, into the extreme heel position. So this thing should really want to whip over for me now. So I'm going to hit a couple of just standard ones, and then I try and hit a couple of fade / slice swings as well for you. Cool, it looks so toed in now. Wow, that thing just wants to go straight. I mean, that was unbelievable there. I put a couple of very much fade bias swings or slice bias swings on those two golf shots there. The first one went pretty much dead straight, and then there was a slight fade out the second one. If anything, it was even harder to slice than the Callaway driver was. Mega impressed with that. I have to say, Ping done a great job there. Both of the brands done a great job there. Going to break down the data for you now. Let's have a little look at the numbers. Okay guys, so what does the data suggest? Well, it's very close between them both. So I was trying to bring my club head speed down below 100 miles an hour there and just about got there, maybe a little bit quicker than what you'd see your average golfer. I would typically see between 90 to maybe 95 miles an hour, I would say, for your average handicap golfer nowadays. And I was trying to replicate that. I was a little bit quicker. The adrenaline got the better of me as always, so you have to forgive me there. But the data would suggest, ball speed wise, very, very comparable, as you can see. Launch, definitely a little bit higher out of the Ping, and certainly a little bit more spin as well. So if you're somebody who suffers from not being able to launch the ball and loses a little bit of flight because of that, and you're looking to try and get rid of that right side bias, the Ping would probably be the one for you. Callaway, a little bit flatter with the flight there. Again, it could just be the swings that I put on it and where I struck it on the face, but certainly launch and spin, a little bit more compact out of the Callaway in comparison to the Ping. They both launched and spun more than what I typically expect to see out of my gamer. But yeah, I mean, both fantastic products there. I would say the Ping was even harder to fade or slice again, but definitely both have a big left side bias for me. If you're in the market, you're trying to get rid of your slice, both have to be hit, both have to be considered. Slightly different acoustics, slightly different visuals, so that might be the deciding factor on both of those, but fantastic products. Well done to Callaway, well done to Ping as well. Guys, what did you think of the review? Did you enjoy that? Are you somebody who suffers from a slice? And if so, have you ever tried a draw biased head like what we've got here? Really interesting. Yeah, I'd be really interested to hear your feedback. If you haven't already, please give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. And if you haven't, please give us a subscribe as well so you can get all the updates whenever we drop our next video. Guys, really enjoyed doing that for you and look forward to seeing you very soon.